Yo, what's going on, fellas? It's your main man, Six Paps Dunga, back again with another reaction video. Now, I haven't done one of these in actually like 3-4 weeks, so I was like, you know what? I think it's about time we get another one on. I had people request me this video, and it's most likely about Hidari, who I was supposed to talk about for a while, so I said, you know what? This is a good opportunity to get my thoughts out on this whole Hidari situation, because there's been some speculation about Hidari's character, and I would say he's a fairly suspicious or mysterious character, so there might be something more about his character, and I'm gonna try and break it down. I'm gonna try my best to break it down in this video, okay? So, Kidomaki, he doesn't need any introductions, probably one of my favorite Boruto content creators right now. So yeah, very dope content creator, go check him out if you haven't already. He makes really good content. Like I said before, I'm gonna try and cut down my intros about 50% because my intro's been way too long, way longer than it was supposed to be. So, you know, without further ado, I'm gonna leave the link to his channel down below in the description, and it should be in the top right hand corner of your screen right about now. I mean, this is the right, I don't know. Whichever side is your top right, that's where he's supposed to be. But anyway, let's get into the video.
Sarada's Mangekyo ability was the main focus of chapter 20, but something else did happen that most readers didn't notice.
That boy was crying.
Sasuke's return. Now, this has been
Sasuke's return.
Chapters, and I did a video on this months ago, but chapter 20
Ooh.
did cement.
And that the video did some numbers too. Hopefully this video did some numbers. Hey.
Jura seems interested in. He sees it as a problem for the Shinju, a dangerous concept they must overcome. This concern of his is then later backed up by Matsuri, time and time again falling prey to the words of Konohamaru. Even though her senses deemed him dangerous, she couldn't resist.
Hey, that boy Konohamaru was cold in chapter 20. But he blew it! He blew it! Which got me so mad. I wanted to give Konohamaru his own video, but at this point, I feel like nobody's really interested in what Konohamaru got going on anymore. I feel like we're all over that situation. The way SARADA just came out of nowhere and stole the show with a single MANGEKYOU Sharingan reveal is crazy. Like, even if I make a video on Konohamaru's situation, I wouldn't really have anything else to talk about because he reverted back to why I was slandering him in the first place. And I already have videos slandering him on the channel, so why? Why do it more? So I don't know if you're gonna get a video from me per se about Konohamaru. I feel like his situation is his situation. I'm more so focused on SARADA at this point. He was cold, but then I don't know what happened, bro. I don't know. Konohamaru, he got it tough. He got it tough. I don't think he'll die, but there's something wrong with that man. The way he just sold like that is crazy.
In hope of attaining a special relationship, which of course almost led to her demise. So the
hit him with that Sharingan barrage.
Thus not being restricted by silly concepts such as the ability to reason, are still capable of love. Now, why is this important to Mr. Sasuke? Well, aside from the fact that he's also a Shinju, he does share
that's Uncle Sasuke, bro. That's Uncle.
SARADA. A connection so deep that he fought against an OTSUTSUKI god-tier level genjutsu that mind-wiped the entire universe. And yes, I mean universe since it also affected code in the 10 Tails dimension. So Sasuke's love for SARADA and his understanding of what intense level of emotional instability is needed to awaken the Mangekyo was enough for him to go against what he deemed to be reality. And this once again goes back to Jura's thoughts on love. It is a concept void of logic, which causes humans to make irrational decisions based on emotions.
I always liked how Jura was talking about how love can be a dangerous concept to the Shinju, and then we turned around in the exact same sequence. We see Matsuri fall prey to love, and that's why she could have been defeated. She could have been defeated. She could have been no more. But then Konohamaru also fell victim to it as well. So you see how love is kind of dangerous for both parties, and I could see it affecting Hidari the most. I'm not going to get into why just yet, but I can see love affecting Hidari even more than Matsuri.
Either the consciousness Hidari is now hijacking fights its way to the surface, or Hidari finally realizes who SARADA is, the same way Matsuri did with Konohamaru. That option leads to Sasuke's eventual return. It also makes perfect sense, given the fact that they need the Thorn Soul to revive Sasuke, which implies that his soul or consciousness is tied to it. Now there is more to it aside from the love aspect, such as the subtle hints that Hidari might be a double agent. This goes back to the moment that Ryu, the Shinki Shinju, pretty much yeeted code from one of his claw marks embedded in the cube. We then get this panel of Hidari looking very mysterious, and this might seem like nothing since Hidari always looks mysterious, but there's a reason why this is very significant. For this to make sense, let's go back to chapter 13 when he was resurrected by Jura using the Thorn Soul Bulb. The first thing Jura asked him was if there was any problems. He replied saying, "Who knows? I can't tell." Jura then goes on to say that I see. Seems you know that you are Hidari. Your identity appears to be strong and intact. Now at first this didn't seem like much since he's just confirming that Hidari's consciousness is intact. Then you get to chapter 15 where it does something similar to the Shinki Shinju. The first thing he did was to give him a name because he believes that it's necessary to establish his identity. Now this does make sense since he was just created, it's a new entity. This however falls apart when it comes to Hidari because why would Jura need to confirm that this revived version of Hidari is the same as it was before, even though it was Hidari's Thorn Soul Bulb that created it? Well, that's likely because Jura has no idea what happens when a Shinju is destroyed and later reconstructed. As I mentioned in my prior video, this then opens up the possibility of one of three things. Either reviving the Shinju using the Thorn Soul Bulb results in the resurgence of the consciousness that inhabited that specific Shinju. Or two, maybe this results in the creation of a new personality.
A new personality?
Or three, it could also result in the body being hijacked by the person whose essence was used to create the Shinju in the first.
That's true. That is true. And this kind of just goes back to how I view the Hidari situation. So, I mean, I do have a few different points than Kidomaki, but I feel like they're both points that are going to lead to the same outcome. I don't think there's a way for Sasuke to hijack Hidari's body and control it like he may suggest, but I feel like there's a way for Sasuke's will to impact Hidari in way more ways than one. And I guess I can explain a little bit more of it now so you guys can understand where I'm coming from. So let's take it back to the early days of the Shinju's awakening. Hidari was always like, I don't want to say slow, because I don't think he was slow at all. He was just a little bit underdeveloped in comparison to the rest of the Shinju, right? And this was a present narrative back then. We were saying how one of the most intelligent characters in Sasuke had a pretty dull-witted Shinju clone. We can see that for pretty much the whole time Jura and Hidari invaded Konoha. Hidari would spit out these comments that suggest he was a little bit slower than the rest. But even though he might have been the most dull-witted, he was undeniably the most curious about who he was as a person. He always asked Jura, what are we? What am I? Even going to Konoha, he stated to SARADA and the others that he didn't know who he was. That's why he came to Konoha. So always, Hidari always had the potential to evolve further than the rest of the Shinju. That's why I fully expect him to be around, probably nearly as long as Jura. Now that Hidari is going to be around for a long time, and he has the most potential out of all the Shinju, what does that mean? So when chapter 19 came out and Jura was talking about how love is a really dangerous concept to the Shinju, it clicked. It finally clicked. I finally know Hidari's place in the story. Sure, I guess you could say he was talking about Matsuri in the present moment of the time because she was with Konohamaru, who she quote-unquote loves. But in the long run, I feel like that applies to Hidari more than anybody. Because just looking at Hidari, he's a Sasuke clone. Sasuke is an Uchiha, the clan of love. The people Sasuke loves the most is his wife and daughter. But then it's like, when I'm trying to crack the code, all these other obstacles are just hitting me in the face. So now I'm like, okay, Hidari tried to kill his daughter with no second thought. No second thought at all. He just came off to SARADA and tried to hit her with Chidori right through the face. Whatever. But the reason that happened is because of Hidari's lack of evolution. I can say Matsuri is more evolved. She's more developed. Let's not say evolved. She's more developed than Hidari is at the current moment. That's why she was able to perceive what love was. She was able to feel those emotions. Through the evolution process, the Shinju will have to go through love. They will have to come through that obstacle because it's just a natural level you have to go through when evolving. Everybody has to go through it. So you see how it's important when I say Hidari isn't as developed as the rest of the Shinju? You can see it's coming in. You can see why Hidari would just attack SARADA like that. He's not as developed as the rest of the Shinju to be able to feel love or comprehend it. But here's the thing. There will come a point where Hidari is able to comprehend love. He will evolve more, he will learn about himself more, and who he originates from, and that's gonna cause him to feel love. And when that happens, it's gonna hit Hidari more than it hits Matsuri. And let's just say this, let's say Sakura or Sarada is in a crucial situation. They're about to die. Hidari swoops in and saves either one of them. It depends on which one is in trouble. I haven't really decided who I'm gonna put in that place yet, but let's just say it's Sarada. Sarada's in trouble, she's about to die, Hidari steps in and saves her. And that's honestly what Jura's afraid of. He's afraid love will affect the Shinju like this and cause them to make irrational decisions. Love almost killed Matsuri, and it could be Hidari's downfall too. But it can also save Sarada's life. So when it goes back to Kidomaki's theory, I don't think Sasuke is going to hijack Hidari's mind, but through the evolution process, Hidari will take on some of Sasuke's traits. When it comes to his emotion, how he feels about Sarada and Sakura, and that's going to cause him to want to protect them. It's going to be an instinct to protect. And he's not that far behind, because we could see Matsuri, she just discovered what love really was. She didn't really know what the heck was going on with her. I'm pretty sure she has a decent understanding of it now, but it's still confusing to her. She still doesn't know how to deal with it. Hidari's gonna go through the same thing. Watch, he's gonna go through the same exact thing. It's gonna be different for him because the love for his daughter is quite different. You know what I mean? It's not romantic or nothing like that. So that's how it's gonna differ. And what Hidari's gonna do according to that love, we just gotta sit back and see.
Now in this case, option 2 wouldn't make sense since the revived Shinju already said that he is the same as Hidari from before. So either he's telling the truth, which validates option 1, or maybe isn't, which validates option 3. Now there is option 3.5 where it does result in the body being hijacked by the person whose essence was used to create the Shinju, but it happens slowly over time. And even in the recent chapter, it shows that he's being very attentive to what Jura says and does.
Yeah, he's learning from Jura.
There's always these panels.
Hidari actually learned a lot from Jura.
With the 3 dots in his dialogue bubble. Why is that? You know, what is the author trying to imply? Well, this somewhat reminded me of how Itachi was during his meeting with the Akatsuki. He was always quiet and observant and always had these moments of him side-eyeing the members of the Akatsuki, appearing very distant. Then it was later revealed, you guys know the story, it was a double agent, you know, that was secretly spying on them while preventing them from attacking the village. So Kimoto might be drawing a parallel here where Sasuke is now the spy collecting info on the Shinju just as his brother did for the village, placing him somewhat in Itachi's shoes. Though not quite the same, you know, since everyone knows Hidari isn't Sasuke. Now this does go a bit deeper. As I mentioned in my prior video, Sasuke's return will likely result in Hidari awakening his Sharingan, and there's a reason for that. See, the Shinjus were created using the power of the 10 tails, the Shiki's essence within quote karma, and the chakra of the person that got turned into a tree. Sasuke's chakra was used to create Hidari, which is why they look similar, and also why Hidari is able to use the Chidori.
Yeah, and if you guys remember how chakra works, look at how all the Shinju kind of resemble their original prototype. You know, Matsuri looks like Moegi, Hidari kind of looks like Sasuke, whatever, and they all have similar powers too. That's all through the chakra. And you know what else chakra brings together? Emotions, feelings. We already know that. We've been taught that multiple times. Chakra is the bond that connects people, spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever. So it's not out the question that because Hidari has Sasuke's chakra, he also has his emotions. He also feels what Sasuke feels too, or some aspect of that.
He wouldn't just be an entity with some semblance of a consciousness. He would also be able to properly tap into his emotions. This again might be triggered by seeing Sarada's MANGEKYOU, which caused Sasuke to defy a god-level genjutsu. Now this is very significant for a member of the Uchiha clan, especially because their powers are directly tied to their emotions. So Hidari's lack of Sharingan, despite stemming from Sasuke's essence, is likely due to his lack of understanding when it comes to love, which is why I questioned Jura about whether it's a disease or not. By the way, Hidari
he's still learning.
Sharingan was hinted at in chapter 11. This was around page 26 after Sarada countered Hidari using her Chidori, with the aid of her Sharingan of course. They then went on to say that those eyes of yours, Jura told me about them. They're Sharingan, aren't they? Now, under any normal circumstance, this wouldn't mean much. He's just making an observation. But he then went on to put 2 and 2 together.
Yes, it's more than that.
Both used the same jutsu, which then led him to say that he was curious about why Chidori was so hard to control.
Look how the Shinju evolve. Look at how quick he was able to just come up with that in just a second. he was able to break down the Chidori and then know that he needs the Sharingan to master it. That's a part of evolution. The more information they gain, the more they evolve. That's why Amato said they're after information. That's how they're gonna evolve. The more information they get, the stronger they get.
So this simply means that Hidari will need to gain a Sharingan at some point in order to be able to use Chidori properly. This can only happen if he steals Sarada's, takes one from Sasuke's body, or simply awakens one of his own. Now the first two options are highly unlikely, especially if Sasuke has indeed returned to some degree. So the most likely case is that he simply
To some degree, he has. Yeah.
Why the Chidori is
it's not wrong to say that.
With the Sharingan. That's because while using the Chidori, your speed goes beyond what your eyes can naturally perceive. So it leaves your body open to counterattacks. That is why Minato told Kakashi to never use it again, and it was only resurrected after Obito gave him his Sharingan. This allowed Kakashi to perceive his environments while moving at such speeds, thus not being vulnerable to counterattacks. So Hidari in this instance wasn't aware of that, so he charged in and didn't anticipate Sarada being able to take advantage of that weakness. By the way, the answer is no. Rinnegan doesn't have the same perception prowess of the Sharingan, which is why Sasuke still uses his Sharingan to locate a shrunken Jigen, and also anytime he uses the Chidori. Now, awakening a Sharingan seems impossible for some. The main reason being the fact that the Sharingan is a Kekkei Genkai. These types of abilities are described as DNA anomalies that allow.
And once Hidari really understands how to use Chidori,
so since these abilities
guess what? He's gonna get stronger.
One's DNA, it makes sense that it should be impossible for the Shinjus to awaken these abilities, since they were created using the chakra of the person who got devoured, not the body itself. So how exactly would the Sasuke Shinju even possess the G needed to awaken the Sharingan? But it all goes back to the Shinki Shinju. See, chapter 15 pretty much confirmed that Ryu is still able to use Shinki's Iron Sand, which can only be controlled using the advanced nature Kekkei Genkai known as Magnet Release. Now, while any ninja can learn to transform their chakra nature and even transform it into different natures consecutively, it is impossible for them to transform two at the same time, regardless of talent or effort. Only those that possess the genetic abilities of these Kekkei Genkais have the ability to use them.
Exactly.
So how exactly is Ryu able to use Iron Sand? Well, what this simply means is that the Shinju somehow inherited the ability to use a Kekkei Genkai just by having a portion of Shinki's chakra, which is
actually insane.
For Hidari. By the way, we have seen something like this before, such as when Sasuke awakened the Rinnegan after receiving chakra from Hagoromo, which means that you can awaken Kekkei Genkai through chakra depending on who does it. Speaking of the Rinnegan, what about Sasuke's Tomi Rinnegan? Well, when I said that Hidari will awaken the Sharingan, that is what I was referring to. It would be a tad bit silly to downgrade it.
Imagine Hidari awakens the 6th Tomoe Rinnegan, and then that's how the real Sasuke gets his Rinnegan back or something like that. Something crazy. Can I see that happening? Yes, I can. I can. And then just Sasuke comes back, and he's kind of relevant in the story now. When I say relevant, you know, just power-wise, right? So Hidari would awaken his 6th Tomoe Rinnegan. They would take it and give it back to Sasuke or something crazy like that. Or something crazy like that. I don't even know. But that is a very likely possibility. Give Sasuke his Rinnegan back. I'm here for it.
Sasuke's Tomi Rinnegan is a Rinnegan that has the powers of his Sharingan, which is why it's able to use Amaterasu. So if Hidari's Chidori is incomplete and he needs the powers of his Sharingan to use it properly,
just give it to Sasuke, man. Just give it to him.
Which is not only simply possible for him to attain,
I'm all for it. Give it. Hey, Hidari, give your eye to Sasuke. He needs his Rinnegan back.
Storytelling mode here, where in the fight where Sarada is clashing with Hidari, and during the moment where he has her dead to rights, and Jura tells him to end her life so he could truly overcome this disease called love or something, and suddenly he sheds a tear and the tomoes appear in his eyes.
Yeah, there's a world where they overcome love too.
Stabs Jura with his newly mastered Chidori, and chapter then ends with Jura being very pissed or angry. I don't know, something.
Yeah. Hey, I see it. I see it. I see it.
Now Sasuke's return in his actual body will likely result in the return of his old Tomi Rinnegan and his left hand, which are now, mysteriously covered by the Divine Tree. So in addition to the Divine Trees having healing properties, which has been shown multiple times over the course of Naruto and Boruto, the Thorn Soul itself has a Rinnegan.
Okay, hey, bro. You know what? I think I'm gonna call it here, bro. I think I understand what he's trying to say, bro. That's crazy when you really think about it. Sasuke coming back, but in Hidari's body. But it's not really Sasuke, it's Hidari awakening to his true self, realizing what his purpose is. realizing who he really is, sacrificing himself to save Sarada. Hey, that's peak right there, Ikimoto. Ikimoto, come on, bro. We see right through it. We see right through it. There's also a way for Sasuke to get his Rinnegan back. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think love, what Jura was afraid of, will cause Hidari to awaken and protect Sarada, or probably Sakura too? We don't know. We never know. Or let me just say it like this. When Hidari truly figures out who he is, what do you think is gonna happen? Do you think he's gonna side with Jura more? Or do you think he's gonna try and betray Jura and, you know, help Konoha or whatnot? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm glad I got this Hidari video out. This is long overdue, and I have fun making the video. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you get notified whenever I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next one, I'll see you boys and girls later. And I'm out. Peace.